All right, welcome everybody. Once again, I am Dr. Roz, and I am the VP of Communications here at Akana. Do a lot of other things in my life and have been blessed to be a part of a lot of things, been in ministry. The doctorate part is theology and divinity. So I'm not a medical doctor, but I am a certified wellness coach here at Akana. Well, let's talk a little bit about Akana so you know who we are. Akana means in the hands of God. Our company launched just a little over 5 years ago. We just celebrated that on April 20th with a line of CBD products, essential oils, and wellness in 2020. Then we introduced the Flat Belly Lifestyle in 2021, and we actually have more than 30,000 customers. Now, we're really proud to say that we reinvest 1% of our gross profits to empower undeserved communities. We've got a full medical advisory board full of a bunch of doctors and MDs and RNs and LVNs and trichologists and naturopaths and all kind of folk who don't just endorse our products, but they also use our products for themselves. They also use our products for their patients and their families. And that's important. You're going to hear a lot of information tonight, but I need you to understand something, that in 2020, nearly 700,000 people died from heart disease in the US. And guess what? 25% of them didn't find out that they even had heart disease until it was death. That's atrocious, because 90% of that heart disease was preventable. It's been said that we know that heart disease is like what? The leading killer, the silent killer. But do you not know that prior to COVID, there was something that was called the third leading cause of death? And it was medical error. Yeah, being diagnosed for something that you shouldn't have been diagnosed with, having a surgery that you probably didn't really have to have. But again, my doctorate's in theology and divinity. So
2/3 of adults are now overweight or obese, and we have an epidemic cascade of debilitating disease that's overcoming the country. There's no way we can sustain the current style of care with the epidemic that we're creating with our diet and lifestyle choices.
The diabetes, the arthritis, the heart disease, the dementia, the obesity, the cancers are affecting about 70% of deaths. All the data is that those 70% of deaths and morbidity are largely lifestyle related and preventable.
Most kids by age 10 in the US already have fatty streaks in their arteries, the first stage of atherosclerosis leading to heart attacks, strokes.
Here in American medicine, we operate from the disease model. We are in the business of treating sick people. We are not in the business of trying to prevent people from becoming sick.
When you look at chronic disease risk, all the things that we walk around worrying about, actually dietary choices trump smoking when it comes to those risks.
If I could deliver one message to the researchers who are looking for the cause of diabetes and the cause of clogged arteries and the cause of high blood pressure and the cause of obesity, I would tell them the answer's in 3 words. It's the food. It's what Americans are eating.
now notice this. This is a doctor. These are doctors that are talking about this. That the food that we eat is more detrimental than anything else, even smoking a cigarette. And the cause, if this doctor say, if you're going to ask me the cause, he'd say 3 words. It's the food. One of the goals that we have here at Akana is to create a 7 blue zone. Maybe you don't know what a blue zone is. I didn't. There are 6 areas right now in the world where people eat far less animal meat and live longer than average. And those are people that live to be over hundreds of years of age. Guess what? You could create a blue zone. Where do we start? We start with ourselves. We start with our families, and then we go on out to our communities. But that's the goal, because the problem in the US, a phrase that was coined by our CEO, Melissa Boston, is suicide. Yes, literally, we're digging our graves with our fork. We're committing suicide at the table. Too much animal protein, too much processed food, salt, sugar, and sedentary lives. I personally am a baby boomer, come out of that era where you couldn't wait to go outside to play. But now our kids, our teenagers, everybody, all of us are sitting in front of a computer. So it's too much animal protein that's impairing our kidneys and our organs and our cells. And that's what's contributing to faster aging, cancer, heart disease, and obesity. Now, a lot of times people come up to me and they say, well, my mama had a heart attack, my grandmama had a heart attack, so I'm likely to have one too. But see, we got to understand something that Dr. Oz said, our genetics load the gun, but our lifestyle pulls the trigger. So I want to reach and show you 5 things that might be the source of sickness and disease. And if one of my co-hosts could mute that line that's open, there's a line that's open. If you could just mute that for me, I'd greatly appreciate it. There are 5 things that may be the source of sickness and disease. There's the lack of oxygen getting to the body. There's mucus and parasites that are traveling through our blood vessels and all the waste that's sitting there. There's the toxicity. And we get toxins from everywhere, the air that we breathe, the food that we're eating, the processed foods. And then there's so much deficiency. I mean, when you eat broccoli is good for you, right? It's got some good nutrients in it. That yam has the right kind of omegas in it, right? But every time we heat something up, we lose that particular vitamin or the nutrient that's in there. So many of us are operating, especially with low vitamin D, that's causing so many things. And then we have acidic bodies. So now tonight we're going to cover all of that because all of that is in your bioscan. So let's talk about the bioscan. Hopefully by now you've got that where you took pictures of it on your phone, maybe you printed out your results, whatever the case may be. Let's talk about what you're looking at. So there are some items on that scan, the first page that you're looking at, that were tested. Those are the testing items. Then you have a normal range, that column that says normal range. Now that's the range that we need to be in if we're in a perfect situation, a perfect state in our bodies. But there is an actual measurement. That is personally yours. Personally, it's not generic. That's your actual measurements. And then next we see colors. And that's what we're going to focus our attention on tonight. Those colors, the green, the blue, the yellow, and the red. The green represents normal. Blue, mildly abnormal. Yellow, moderately abnormal or severely abnormal. I say it like this, it's out of balance. And when would you like to know when something is out of balance? When you're way to the red or when you're right there in the blue? Because here's the thing, disease is progressive. So whatever it is you or a loved one is dealing with, whether it's cancer, diabetes, high blood pressure, sickle cell, whatever it is, it didn't happen overnight, it happened over time. And because it happened over time, that means that disease is progressive. And if disease is progressive, guess what? It can progress either in the wrong direction or in the right direction. See, I'm the kind of person, I live in Houston, Texas, and if I'm driving and I'm going to Florida, say, and I'm driving going west, I need you to tap me on the shoulder and tell me I'm going in the wrong direction, because Florida for me is in the east. And I don't need you to wait till I get all the way thousands of miles away. That's what happens when we go to the doctor and we find out something is wrong with us and we didn't find out how we got there. We didn't find out when did I start going in that direction. So when we look at the bioscan and we're looking at the green, the blue, the yellow, and the red, as you notice, there are some colors on the right of the green and there's some colors on the left of the green. If it's on the right, it means there's an increase. If it's on the left, or a decrease. Another way to say that, if it's on the right, it's overworking. If it's on the left, it's not performing as efficiently as it should. It's kind of a wonderful way that God made our body. He made our body to overcompensate for itself when something is not working as good as it should to keep you alive. So now we're going to go to our first report. Our first report is dealing with the heart and the brain. Now, every single line here at the top, all the way to 2 from the bottom, is the heart. And the last 2 is the brain. As I said earlier, normal range, your measurements. But let's look at the colors. Now, you're going to see, I'm going to pair some things together because they're so much related. When you see one up, you usually kind of see the other up. And that's when we talk about blood viscosity and blood fat. If you're looking at your report right now, if you see it in the blue, that means it's mildly higher than it needs to be. In yellow, it's overworking, and red, it's still an increase in it, tremendously so. But let's talk about blood viscosity. If you have a vehicle and you do what every 3,000 or so miles, you change the oil, right? So when you change the oil, if you didn't change the oil, there's something called oil sludge. And what oil sludge does, it thickens the oil in your heart. But guess what? The toxins, the mucus, the buildup in our body is thickening the blood. And as a result of your blood being thicker, if you're in the red, you're probably already on some blood thinner. But there's a solution. There's a way to get that toxin, those toxins and those fatty tissues out of the blood. And you're going to hear us talk about that a little bit later. But the same thing with blood fat. So blood fat and blood viscosity are usually very, very much related. So you've got too many fatty tissues in your bloodline, blood around the heart. Then you've got cholesterol. Cholesterol typically is high many times in our community, mainly because of the kind of food that we eat. And you heard the doctor say it's the food. Now, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just saying, I know these are the things we like. We love to have our bacon every morning. We love our chicken and our French fries and our pizza. You know, all of these things that don't, but I'm just saying, high in cholesterol. And so the first thing they'll do is put us on cholesterol medication. When really, if we would just change certain things in our diet, guess what? Those points would go down. We have testimonies right here in this company of people that have gone through our program, and as a result of going through their program, cholesterol points dropping 51 points and then keeping them down. Next, we're going to look at vascular resistance. Vascular resistance, well, when you think about a blood vessel that's flowing through, a pure blood vessel, that first one that you're looking at is a healthy blood vessel. But as you can see, there are stages where there's more plaque buildup around the walls of the blood vessel. Now, when that plaque builds up, guess what? The same amount of blood that has to go through that perfectly circular artery there is the same amount of blood that's got to go through the one on the third one and the fourth one. But if all that plaque is built up, it's having difficulty. So it's having to push harder. And the harder it pushes, it actually raises the blood pressure. So therefore, we have blood pressure situations. Now, a lot of times when I'm scanning somebody, they will tell me that they've never been diagnosed with blood pressure. And so then the next question I'm going to ask them is, are you dealing with stress? And almost 99% of the time, if a person has not been diagnosed with any kind of blood pressure, they're dealing with stress, whether it's in their family, their job, situations, all kind of stuff. They're stressed out. And the same results take place. And I really take a lot of time when people tell me that, because I know that stress is a silent killer. And if they don't find a way to de-stress, I'll tell folk in a minute, jump in the bathtub, get you a picture of the Bahamas and start quacking like a duck. Or get a rolling on the floor and put on situation comedy and just roll and laughter. The Bible says laughter does good like medicine. But you cannot, you've got to live a stress-free life, or you got to find a way to get the stress off of you. Next, we're going to look at three things. I'm going to put all these three together: vascular elasticity, coronary artery elasticity, and cerebral blood vessel elasticity. Now, looking at your report, is it in the green, the blue, the yellow, or the red? More than likely, it's on the left-hand side, meaning there's a decrease, or it's not working as efficiently as it should. Now, the reason I put these three together is because they have a common denominator. What is that word? Elasticity. So now that means that your blood vessel is losing its elasticity. It's supposed to be very elastic, so the blood and the nutrients and the oxygen can just flow through. But when plaque begins to build up, like you see in that second diagram on the right, now that blood vessel is starting to harden. How many of us have heard that terminology? Hardening of the arteries. And if you look at the third picture, you'll notice that it's gotten too hard, that it split, it cracked, and now we're talking about a heart attack or a stroke. But guess what? We don't have to go there. Once we realize, as we're looking at this, if you're in the blue, the yellow, or the red, we know that we need to remove the plaque. That's why we're going to talk to you about detoxing your body so that we can get this plaque out and get back to a healthy blood vessel, because everything we're talking about tonight means that it can be reversed. Now, we set those three: vascular, coronary artery, and cerebral. What's the difference? Vascular is around the heart, where the coronary artery is actually on the heart. Same problem, losing its elasticity. And the cerebral is on the brain. But everywhere we're talking about, the elasticity is being lost because of plaque buildup. Where does that plaque come from? It comes from our food. It comes from our diet. It comes from the things that we've been eating, whether it's in a box, a can, whether it's going through a fast food restaurant, whether it's fried food, whatever it is, it's causing that. And so that's why we have to take some time, because God ordained for our bodies to heal itself. Now moving on to the next item on your test results. Myocardial blood demand. Every 60 seconds, your heart demands a certain amount of blood to get to the heart. If it's on the right, in the blue, the yellow, or the red, it means it's working harder than it should, especially if it's in the yellow or in the red. It's working harder. It's working harder to get that done every 60 seconds. How many of you ever walked upstairs and before you got to the top, you're out of breath or you're catching your heart? So see, it's having to work hard to do that. That's why we've got to put ourselves in a position where this does not happen. This was one of the first things to let me know when I had to start working out, because I realized there was something wrong if I couldn't go up one flight of stairs. Next, we're going to look at the myocardial blood perfusion volume. Anytime you see the word myocardial, we're talking about the heart, and we're talking about perfusion, you're talking about the oxygen. Now, before we said every 60 seconds, the heart demands a certain amount of blood to get to the heart. The perfusion is every 60 seconds, there's a certain amount of oxygen that's supposed to get to the heart. And so if it's on the left, which is where it usually will be, if it's not in the green, if it's in the blue, the yellow, or the red, it's not working as efficiently as it should. And so we got to do something. You know what? We got to unblock these areas, because it's causing that blood flow to not flow as efficiently as it should because of a blocked artery, and your blood flow is compromised because, again, of that plaque buildup. And when we talk about myocardial oxygen consumption, we're talking about every time the heart contracts, certain amount of blood is supposed to be consumed, and every time, every heartbeat. So when it's not taking place, and that's why the bioscan is so powerful, because maybe this hasn't been diagnosed. Maybe we could find out some things way before they take place, when we don't see our athletes that are falling on the floor, having arrhythmias and having heart attacks at young ages because they don't know what's going on in the cells of their body. Remember, this is letting you know when 10,000 cells get out of balance. And unfortunately, in our healthcare system, there is equipment where it lets you know when 10 cells get out of balance. When would you prefer to know, 10 or 10,000? Now we're looking at stroke volume. Now, a lot of times when people see stroke volume, they get really disturbed because of that word stroke. But this is not about having a stroke. This is what's called a stroke every time the heart contracts. Every time it contracts, and if you did the bioscan, you heard that beep, 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 beep. So every time it contracts. Now, if you're looking at yours and it's on the left, do you know what you need to do? Yeah, you do now, don't you? You've got to exercise. See, exercising is not about just looking good. It's about making you feel better. Your body needs the exercise. So whatever kind it is, I don't care what situation you're in. If you tell me, but Dr. Roz, I got bad knees, I got a bad back, listen, there's some exercises for you. I exercised with a lady in a chair one time, and she was just a girl, and I was exercising with her. And by the time we finished a few minutes, I was like huffing and puffing. And she said, all right, that's the warm up. And that was sitting in a chair. So there's literally no excuse for us not doing some type of exercise, some type of movement. You got to move your body, and it will help that stroke volume, because now your heart's going to start beating more. And don't stop soon as it starts, so you start sweating a little bit. No, give me a little bit more. Give me 5 more minutes, or 10 more minutes, or 15 more minutes. Now we're going to look at left ventricular ejection impedance. That word impedance means blockage. So if you're looking at your results, you may see that on the right, meaning it's overworking because there is an impedance. The left ventricle is responsible for sending blood to the rest of the body, to other areas of your body. You ever heard of people have varicose veins, or they're not getting a lot of blood that's flowing? You know, they don't feel a lot of movement. Their legs get numb, their arms get numb. Yeah. So the left ventricle is the one that's sending that blood. And please understand, when I say blood, every time I say sending blood, that means sending nutrients. That means sending oxygen. And when those areas of your body are not getting that, then all of a sudden we are feeling that numbness and those things going on. So look at your chart and see where you are on the right with that. Coronary perfusion pressure. We're still talking about the heart. We're talking about the arteries actually on the heart. When we see that word coronary, we're talking about not just around the heart. Now we're talking about on the heart. Perfusion, again, oxygen, dealing with the oxygen, having to overwork and putting pressure up on the walls of the coronary artery. Where are you on your chart? Are you in the blue, the yellow, or the red? Then guess what? We're going to show you solutions on how to get all of this cleaned up, because it's a full body detox that we're going to talk about. And then last but not least, because we already talked about cerebral, these last two, remember, deal with the brain. Brain tissue, blood supply status. That's pretty self-explanatory. It's talking about the brain tissue in your brain. So when this is blocked and it's not working efficiently, it's leading us to strokes. How many of you have been on the phone with somebody one day and found out the next day they had an aneurysm? No physical signs of that taking place on the outside, but it's what's taking place on the inside. That's why this bioscan is so important, that we can get it in the hands of every person that we can possibly do so, that we can show them before the crisis. Now moving on to the next phase of your report. Some of you may not have this, or you might have this report. The gastrointestinal has to do with your stomach area. Why is this important? Because 75% of your immune system is in your gut. If we have had better gut health all over, then we wouldn't have been so in a frenzy regarding COVID, because your immune system would have been operating at its optimum performance. So when we look at this gastrointestinal function, your stomach area, we're looking at a couple of things. Pepsin. Where is your report saying you are? Like this report is in the yellow, meaning pepsin is not efficient. It's working less than it should be. The negative, the less is to the left, it means there's a decrease. Well, what is pepsin? Pepsin is an enzyme. Now, all of us, if you like, my mama told me, chew your food. How many of us do that? Enough to break it down. So this pepsin, I call it your chewer. It's the enzyme that breaks down the protein. So now what if we're eating a lot of protein, animal protein, more than likely? And when I say animal, people go, oh, I don't want to do any beef. I'm talking about anything that's got eyes, whether it's beef, chicken, pork, turkey, whatever it is. If it has eyes, we're putting it in that category. And now pepsin has the job of chewing that for us, breaking that protein down so you can digest it. Now, when it stops breaking it down, because we've been eating whatever we've been eating a long time, we didn't just start doing it yesterday. We've been doing it since we were a teenager, because that's what the bioscan tests from when you were a teenager up until now. Pepsin says, I'm tired. I'm tired of doing all this work. And so then the lack of breaking down that protein starts putting a stress on your kidneys. And we'll see later what your kidneys look like as a relation to what's looking in your report as it relates to pepsin. But now, I want you to really get this. I want you to understand, because people say, well, look, I got to have my meat. I got to have my chicken. I got to have my turkey. I got to have my pork. Well, I understand the got to have. I get it. But knowledge is power when we begin to use it. And I need you to understand that any animal temperature, any animal that has a higher body temperature than yours. Okay, now what is our body temperature? Normally about 98.6, 95, whatever it is. Well, if that animal that you just ate, whether it was fried or baked or stewed or however you cooked it, your body now says it's higher than the 98.6 or 95. And so I've got to work harder to digest that animal's proteins and oils. Okay, now I said a whole lot, but let it make sense to you. The cow, it's higher than yours. The pig, it's even higher. The turkey is higher than our body temperature. The chicken is even, okay, don't shoot the messenger. I told y'all, don't be shooting the messenger tonight. I know it. It's higher than all of those. There's only one thing that's not higher than our normal body temperature, and that's fish. That's why a lot of people go become pescatarians, Because if you're going to have something, it probably is the best. But just, I need you to understand this tonight. Am I saying that you have to give up all of your meat? I'm not saying that. I just want you to get this to the point where you can begin to make intentional decisions. Because many of us are making decisions to go plant-based. Some are going vegan, vegetarian, some are going raw. That's your choice. But without an understanding, you can't even start making the right choices. So let's look at that gastrointestinal. Again, pepsin we just looked at. Now the next item on the report is gastric peristalsis. Peristalsis, where are you? Is it in the blue, the yellow, or the red? It's going to be to the left, meaning it's not working as efficiently as it should. Well, what is it? It's a muscle. It's the muscle that moves your food to the anus. In other words, it's the one that's moving the food for you to have a bowel movement. You remember the toothpaste when it gets kind of low and you squeeze it from the bottom, you squeeze, and finally you start rolling it up? Well, that's the way that muscle works. But just imagine this muscle has been working for us all of our lives. And we've been overworking it with the kinds of food that we've been putting in its body, in our bodies. And so now that muscle says, okay, I'm tired, I'm not working no more. And so now guess what happens? The food just sits there because it's not being moved. And somebody says, well, I have a bowel movement every day, but guess what? You should be having it every time you eat something. So if you have a bowel movement every once a week, so you know that's a problem. And when we're talking about the peristalsis, we understand the small intestines, it absorbs most of the nutrients in your food, and your circulatory system passes them to the other parts of your body to store or to use. And we wonder why we feel bloated, because it's being stored. The waste is accumulating. And then we don't absorb our foods well because we've got 10 to 25 pounds of undigested food just sitting and rotting in our gut. So we're not absorbing. So look at your report and see what your absorption is. As you notice here, all three of them were in the red together. So that meant we've got to do something in this situation to get the pepsin and the peristalsis to give it a break, first of all, because it's not functioning. It's not functioning nearly as efficiently as it should to have your bowel movements and to digest your food and for you to absorb. You could be taking vitamins A, C, and E. And guess what? You wouldn't be, it's not what you take, it's what you absorb. And mucus builds up. Mucus, so many ways that we get mucus just from having cooked food. And it hinders our nutrients to get through the bloodstream. It's causing the allergies and the colds and the deficiencies that are taking place in our lives. So we've got to do what? Detox. We got to get these toxins out of our body so that we can actually begin to do all the things that we need to do. Now, I live in Texas. This is a normal barbecue plate in Texas. You see what I'm talking about? The mucus buildup, parasites in the food. That's a normal four meat plate. So here's my challenge. My challenge to you, if you're looking at this and that's kind of normal for you, I challenge you just starting with adding raw to your plate. More raw to your plate and less, and please, let's not have 4 of the meats. Can we just maybe have 1 of them? So when we deal about the gastrointestinal function, we also got to talk about the small intestines, as I said earlier, because that's responsible for moving the nutrients that's in our food. And in this example, they're both in the green, but let me take a look at your report and let's see, is your peristalsis, that same peristalsis, that same muscle, and absorption, is it on the left, in the blue, on the yellow, or the red? Remember, blue is mild, yellow is moderate, red is severe. Our next report will be our large intestines. That's the colon. So sometimes we're doing okay in the stomach, but we're not doing okay in the large, or vice versa. You may be moving your food. In this situation, they're moving the food a little bit better once it gets to the colon, but it's got to get to the stomach to get there. So when we talk about the large intestines, we see the same terminology, peristalsis, and the colonic absorption. So a lot of times, many of us don't realize that the colon, if you pulled it out, they said it would be a quarter length of a football field, but it's all twisted like that inside of us. So that's what makes it so difficult to move the food through when it's being blocked by waste, W-A-S-T-E, that's lining the walls of our colon. And there's some pictures that we've used in many of our presentations that you might have seen earlier tonight of that waste that just sits there. And as I said, it sits there so long, it's rotting. So we wonder, why can't get rid of this bad breath? Yeah, you got waste. You might have fruit that has just fermented sitting there in your colon. And then we've got intestinal bacteria. That's the next item. Is it in the blue, the yellow, or the red? Intestinal bacteria, because our body has good bacteria, but because of some things we eat, we bring in the bad bacteria. So does the bad bacteria outweigh the good bacteria? Well, you get the bad bacteria from eating crap. Yeah, the carbonated drinks, the refined sugars, the artificial foods, and the processed foods. One of the doctors said if it's in a can, if it's in a bag, if it's in a package, or all of those things, we've got to wean ourselves and get away from it. We've got to have more fruits and vegetables and nuts. We've got to have more herbs in our life. All of these things are going to move us to a place of health and wealth. And lastly, the intraluminal pressure coefficient. Looking at your report, is it on the right, in the blue, or the yellow, or the red? Well, see, as you saw the picture of the colon, the large intestines is only so large, right? So just imagine waste sitting there year after year, day after day, hour after hour. Every time we eat, we're not digesting it. And guess what you feel? Bloated. You're feeling that bloated feeling because that food is just sitting there. You're not going to the bathroom as often as you should. And then it gets so packed that sometimes it backs up. And that's when we say we have acid reflux. So it's that pressure that moves the stool through the intestines. And when you have excessive pressure, it results in constipation or IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. When you don't have enough pressure, then it contributes to that diarrhea or incomplete evacuation. And you're constantly going just a little drip here and a little drip here, and you're still not having an efficient bowel movement. Nobody taught us, or let me say me, nobody taught me how I'm supposed to eat. According to the Mayo Clinic, after you eat, it takes about 6 to 8 hours for food to pass through your stomach and the small intestines. And then the food enters your large intestines for further digestion, and then you absorb the absorption of water, and finally you eliminate the undigested food. Now that takes about 36 hours for food to move through the entire colon. 36 hours. How many of us wait 36 hours before we eat again? And again, I mean, how many times have you eaten within a 36-hour period? Think about that. And then they didn't teach us how we should eat, how food should digest. How long does it take really before we're supposed to eat another thing? My husband, he would eat one thing at a time, and I used to criticize that. It's like I made it to go together. The rice went with the meat, and the meat went with the vegetables, but he was doing the right thing because we need to let things digest. That's why they say we eat too fast in our country. We just gobbling it down. And see, here's what your digestive tract says. You eat some fruit, some strawberries on your plate. And your digestive tract says, wonderful, I love it, I can digest this. But then all of a sudden you put some rice or some beans or some potatoes in, and your digestive tract says, hold up, wait a minute, strawberries, chill out, let me work on this, because it takes it longer to digest that. And then you go and you eat some meat, you eat a steak or pork or chicken or whatever it is. And here it says without skin, but let's be real, we eat it with the skin, right? And so now your digestive tract says, hold up, potatoes, rice, I can't do you right now. I got to work on this chicken. And so the rest of that just sits there. And by the time we finally digest the chicken, our body's tired. And then we say we go to sleep. And I know what color you are. No, that's not why. Your body is working, trying to digest all this food. And that's why we end up with waste. They say 10 to 12, some people say to 25 pounds of waste in our gut. All right, moving on to the next report, liver. And you know, when I see this report, to me, it is really one of the most important reports because it reflects what's going on sometimes in the heart, what's going on in the digestive tract because of the liver fat. And I'm gonna jump to that fifth item and we'll go back, we'll work our way up. That liver fat content, please make real serious acknowledgement of what is on your report here. Is it in the blue? Is it in the yellow? Is it in the red? There's not a day, there's not a vending event that I attend that somebody's liver is not in the red, and many are in the yellow. Well, let's understand the liver. Every 3,000 miles, you change your oil. We talked about that earlier when we were talking about blood viscosity. But oil is not the only thing that's changed, the oil filter. Now, what if we didn't change the filter and we only changed the oil and we sent the clean oil through a dirty filter? That would mean the oil is still dirty. Well, guess what? That's the job of the liver. It's to filter the blood. And the life of the body is in the blood. And when we don't filter, when this liver fat content is so high, it's such an increase, it's not filtering properly, then we're sending dirty blood through the body. All that waste and those toxins are being carried, and they eventually travel wherever blood travels, to the heart, to the kidneys, every part of the body. So then that relates back to what we saw in the cardiovascular report. That relates back to what we saw in the digestive system, because the liver is supposed to be filtering out. And if it's not doing it, then guess what? We've got to detox this liver. Now, people will tell me, well, I just want to do my liver detox, or I just want to do this kind of detox. But listen, when the waste is there, I don't want to clean up one area, clean up one room. You ever done that at home? You clean up one room and everything you cleaned up, you put it in another room. Well, that's what happens when we don't detox the whole body and just detox one area of the body, because this is showing us the stages of liver disease. Now, most of us, we've heard that cirrhosis of the liver was only excluded to those who are alcoholics. Well, not so. This is called the non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. It's progressive. Did I say that earlier, that all this is progressive? If we look at this tonight, if we watch this and don't do anything, it does not mean that it's not going to stop progressing in the wrong direction. The whole purpose of this is to say, I'm going in the wrong direction, I'm going to turn it around, because it's reversible, ladies and gentlemen. When you have a fatty liver, that's what we're looking at when it's in that yellow and the red, you have deposits of fat that are causing scar tissue to take place, and then that liver is hardening, and now it's not filtering. But guess what? Let's get the toxins out. Let's detox that liver and get it back to a healthy liver. Bowel secretion, I told you I worked my way up. Bowel secretion function. You're looking at your report. Is it on the left? In the blue, the yellow, or the red? Bile is a secretion from the liver that aids in digestion, especially fats. In humans, it's produced in the liver and stored in the gallbladder. So we need that bile to function better. And that means we've got to support certain foods that do that. And if you're like me, I don't like bitter foods, but guess what? That's what helps your bile. Bitter herbs and veggies, organic acids, apple cider vinegar, lemons and limes and green tea, warming spices and ginger and prebiotic foods. All of these things help your bile. And then the last three that I want to look at in this particular liver report are your protein metabolism, your energy production, and your detoxification function. Let me tell you something. When you detox your liver, your energy goes up. That's why many people have the testimony that when they do our program, our detox program, they feel more energy, because now their energy production has improved. The liver is a detoxing agent, and many of the foods that we talk about in the fruits and vegetables that we put in our juice are designed to help you to detox, like beets. Now we're going to look at the kidney, and I'm going to focus. We're going to go through all of these tested items, but I want to focus on the second one first, uric acid. If you're looking at your report and your uric acid is to the right in the blue, means it's mildly out of balance. If it's in the yellow, it is moderately, and if it's in the red, you love your beef. I'm just saying. Because uric acid will crystallize and get in your joints. And oftentimes when I see a person in the red, more than likely, they have already experienced gout, because that uric acid will crystallize and it gets in your joints and it goes down to the big toe. And I've heard it's quite painful. But uric acid also sometimes comes from many of us that have been on medication for a very long time. Well, my father, when he passed away on dialysis. But he had been on certain medications like blood pressure medication all of his adult life. Remember I said nothing happens overnight, it happens over time. So the kidney function, all of these are relating to how well your kidneys are functioning, or how well you're moving, or how it's not really well, but you're moving through stages of kidney disease. The UB index, the uric acid, the BUN, the blood urea nitrogen, and the protein urea index. Too much protein, too much animal protein bleeds over into the urine. And so we find ourselves, kidney disease is stated. Nobody is on dialysis overnight. It takes it's stages. And so we can find out, the beauty of this BioScan is to let you know, you're going in the wrong direction. Let's turn it around. Let's make some changes. Let's do some things different. Let's be more intentional so now we can reverse it. Because as I told you, even when that pepsin is overworking and not functioning like it should be, it has a reflect on our kidneys, because now we get too much protein that bleeds over into our urine. I don't want to be on the man-made filtration system. That's all dialysis is. It's the man-made filtration system to help you filter out and flush the body and the kidneys. So that's what happens when they put you on dialysis. And then the last report we're going to look at is your body acidic or alkaline? You may have never heard that terminology. I hadn't when I first became a certified wellness coach, so I didn't know the difference. The way I understand it is like this: when you go to the store and you buy a battery, it's called an alkaline battery, meaning it's up to its full performance. But if you're like me back in the day when you had a boom box, you put all them big old D batteries in there and you play and you play and you play and you play and you play, because it has now lost its alkalinity. So now our body's acidic. Now, why is that important? Because the things that cause a body to become acidic is our diet, toxins, and stress. Why is it important? Because disease can't dwell in an alkaline environment. So when we look at this last report, the last item on that page is your pH. Now, if you notice, there's no blue and yellow. It's either red or green. Either you're alkaline or you're acidic. But I like to give people a little encouragement, and I'll show them this measurement. See here, 3.003. Well, the normal range is 3.1. So in this particular example, they're just 0.1 away from being alkaline. So I stress that because I want to encourage them to detox. Because if you detox, we're going to push that to the green, because there's no gray area here. If you can get to 3.1, and most times doing just one 21-day detox, you can get your body in an alkaline state. And then you can start doing the necessary things to stay there. What do I mean by that? Live more of your life in 7, 8, 9, and 10 than you do in 3, 4, 5, and 6. Come on, give me 70, 30, 80, 20, something. Maybe you're not 100% over there on the raw side, but if you can have more, and I tell people, put more of that on your food, eat it first, get your body almost filled up before you ever touch anything over there on that left-hand side. Everybody has the potential to become a rechargeable battery by detoxing and becoming alkaline. So we got to flush this body with a cleanse, with a 21-day raw cleanse. We've got several different methods to be able to do this, but the whole goal is to get the toxins and the mucus, the waste, the parasites. Oh yeah, parasites from that meat I dare you to find out, look at one of those videos where you see parasites crawling. You don't want to see that, I know. But get the plaque out. We gotta flush this body. Just like you flush a toilet, this is our sewer system, and we gotta flush it. And we use juicing and fruits and vegetables. Now, I keep saying don't shoot the messenger, but this is a warning. And I'm on the wall shouting it out because we do something. I live in a city where we have hurricanes and they give us announcements and tornadoes way before they get here. And sometimes people do nothing and they sit in their home. But most of us will go to the grocery store. We're going to go get some batteries in case the electricity goes out. What am I saying? I'm saying we do something. My challenge tonight, my challenge as you're looking at this is to say, do something. Don't let it continue to progress in the wrong direction. So what is the flat belly lifestyle? Well, I'm going to get out the way. I've got a lady, I believe she's on, and I'm going to have her to come and share with you, Miss Anna Gallagher, and she's going to share with you a little bit about our program. Now that you've seen what your bioscan says, now that hopefully you're in a position mentally to say, I need to do something. If I'm in the blue, I need to do something because I don't want to go to the yellow. I don't want to go to the red. So I'm going to let Miss Anna Gallagher, she's a mother, grandmother, she's an entrepreneur, she's an econopreneur, she's a lifer, and she's a certified wellness coach. Miss Anna, are you there?
I'm here.
All right. Take it away.
Good evening, everyone. 7 or 21-day raw cleanse. Which do you want to do? 7-day refresh or 21-day reset? The refresh, this includes your meal plan, grocery list, proven products to jumpstart your healthy journey, lose unwanted pounds, and refresh the mind, body, and soul in just 7 days. Now, your 21-day reset, this includes the same thing down to it helps you repair, renew, and reset your mind, body, and soul. It reduces belly fat, inflammation, and drops the waist in 21 days. 1, remove mucus and parasites. This is your flat belly cleanse. It only takes 8 ounces of water and 1 tablespoon every morning that you're doing your cleanse. Number 2, you want to nourish yourself with superfood. This is where our flat belly cleanse superfood to restore comes in. You will have 2 teaspoons every day in your juice. Number 3, detoxify colon and organs. This is your liquid colonic. It's your tea that you are going to drink 4 ounces every day before 8 o'clock, except your first day, you drink 4 ounces in the morning also. It tells you all the things that's in it. No healing can take place until you clean out the sewer system so the other organs get a signal to release their waste. Number 4, feeds muscles with plant protein. Get with your coach to determine if this should be used during or post detox. Flat Belly Lifestyle 20 includes free ebook. You see the ebook website there. And this is new, the Flat Belly Lifestyle ebook. Okay, your grocery list and meal plan, you got to have that. These are some of the items you will need. Flaxseed or flaxseed oil, cayenne pepper, liquid colonic, alkaline water, aloe vera juice, raw salad, spinach, kale mix, green with vegan or non-dairy dressing, fruit, nuts, and seeds. It says all raw fruit like pears and apples, bananas are frozen, not from a can. Remember, not from a can. Almond, pecans, or walnuts, pumpkin or sesame seed, and your juicer. Your nuts cannot be, don't ask me, they cannot be honey roasted. So I'll tell you that up front. And don't forget your juicer. Online group support and coaching. It is awesome. You could not ask for a better way to detox, renew yourself, or refresh yourself. Day 1, day 7, it targets belly fat. Day 1, day 2, day 21, 30 pounds down in 21 days. You're looking at a picture of Billy. It happens. It happens. Day 1, day 22, 28 pounds down in 21 days. These are real people, you all. These aren't actors. These are our raw warriors. You're showing 20 pounds down in 21 days. That's from the 9th of March to the 31st of March. This is Jesus. Come on, guys. This is your vet 100-day results. Doesn't she look great? Doesn't she look awesome? Yay for our warriors. Removed 9 inches from her waist. Before and after pictures. Mary J. Hey, come on, you all. Let's get with it. Day 1, 10 months update, building muscles with plants. Once again, a picture of our raw warriors. They are all real people, not actors. Look at Gigi Harris. This is our awesome Phyllis Nash. Take the pledge.
I was able
Listen
to
to
lose
her.
14 pounds, 6 inches. And I love the way I look. I'm not gonna lie, I am loving this. But let me tell you what I love even more. I dropped my cholesterol 50 points, blood pressure stabilized. And my doctor and I had been fighting for the last 5 years because she wanted to put me on a statin, and I absolutely refused. And she told me I would never change my cholesterol, lower it by diet alone. Well, you can know how excited I felt when I had dropped it 50 points. I want to be optimally healthy until the day I just close my eyes and I'm not here anymore. I hope you join us.
We've discovered the most powerful superfruit on the planet, our Arona berry. It is step number 4. It's saying optional. Don't make it optional. It accelerates weight loss, tastes delicious. It takes only 1.5 ounces twice a day. The ORIC score is 41,000 plus, and it reduces inflammation. And just in case you want to know what the ORIC score is, the ORIC score helps us to understand how effective a berry or a food is at protecting our cells from the damage caused by harmful substance in our body. The higher the score, the better they are at keeping us healthy. And look at the Rona berry. Look at the other ones down there at the bottom. We are so much higher with the Arona berry than any of the others. New Fat Belly Protein Muscle Builder. It contains HMB, which is used for building muscles and preventing age-related muscle loss and reducing muscle breakdown, helping to prevent bone loss and metabolism. Help me there, Dr. Roz. Metabolism. Come on, Anna. Come on. Decreasing. You all, let's get with it. After the reset or the refresh, choose from 3 options. Keep the lifestyle going. You can do option 1, flexibility, option 2, plant-based, or option 3, age reversal. Take your choice. Which one do you want to do? Back to you, Dr. Roz.
All right, thank you, Ms. Anna. Thank you so much. Yeah, you choose after you do the detox. We want you to keep going because we want it to become a lifestyle. Now that we've gone through the bioscan and we've shown you what the full program is, there's some decisions that you need to make tonight. Get back with the person who invited you because they probably showed you either 4 or 6 different reports. Well, there's so much more that bioscan did. It covered 45 areas of your body. It's over 100 pages of information, more than you would ever get, even sometimes in the doctor's office, because don't you want to know what's going on with your gallbladder and your blood sugar? Don't you want to know what vitamins you're deficient in? But how about your allergies? What's really causing things with your skin? And ladies, your breasts, and men, your prostate. Well, listen, the bioscan did all of that. Get back with the person that invited you here tonight. Get back with the person who did your bioscan and ask them, how can I get and what is the cost of that full bioscan report? Secondly, here's what's really important. Do you know your blood type? Now, let's talk about this blood type thing, because see, your blood type is a more reliable measure of your identity than your race, your culture, or your geography. It is a genetic blueprint of who you are and a guide to how you can live most healthfully. You could be possibly eating something that's contrary to your blood type. You may be an A and you're eating bananas every single morning. I was talking to some people this past weekend, and they looked at this and realized, I'm doing something that's causing the inflammation, because the antigen in your body is not there to help break down that food. So now every time you eat it, and if you're eating it, it's not what you do some of the time. If you're doing it most of the time, your body is saying this is an enemy, and your body's overworking to get it broken down. And now over time, it gets tired. So do you know your blood type? Let's start there. If you don't know your blood type, you got to get back with the person right now, because listen, we've got a blood type testing kit. Everything you need is in the kit. Takes you about 5 minutes to do it. There's a card there. Everything you need to prick your finger. It doesn't really hurt. Don't be tripping over needles and all that. We ain't trying to draw blood. Just a little prick, and everything's in the kit. To put the blood specs right there on the card, move it around a little bit, and you're going to see a pattern. And that pattern is going to determine what is your blood type. People say, well, I'll just look at my driver's license. It ain't there. Yeah, I said it. You're going to go ask your doctor. Okay, go ahead. Maybe they'll tell you. Maybe they want to know why you want to know, because it's my blood. Or maybe they want to charge you a couple of $100. But I'm going to tell you, $20, and you can get our blood type testing kit. And then let's talk about the detox. Yes, I hope by now you're convinced that you have got to get started. Now, I wish everyone would start with 21 days. That's my personal desire, because I want you to see optimum results. But I get it. Some people say, well, no, I can't go without meat because it's a raw. Do you see that word raw? Raw means no meat, means no cooked food for 21 days. We're going to be juicing. And then some people decide they want to do the smoothies. But whichever way that you do it, get with your coach, that person invited you, and they'll walk you through this. But as you can see, the 21 day is $350. The 7 day is $139. Same products. The only difference is the size of the packages. And then that aronia berry juice, I can't live without that. So I got to throw that in and let you know about it, because, man, I'm telling you, energy, and we have it actually in juice and in powder form now. But before I leave, I would be remiss not to say this, because I've not seen a person that has not gone through our program, and somebody didn't ask them, what's going on? You're losing weight. You're looking good. You're glowing. What's happening? And they start telling them. Wouldn't it be really awesome to be able to tell them and send them to your website? Doesn't that just make sense? But here's what even makes more sense. This makes financial sense. That 21-day cleanse is $350. This Pearl Lifestyle Pack is $399. And this puts you in a position where actually you have another stream of income, you've got a website to send people to, and you get the 21-day cleanse, along with some pain cream, some gummies, some of our main products that we have, and you become an econopreneur. But you've also got to pay $29.95 to get that website activated. But it's an amazing way. If you're going to already do the 21-day cleanse, why not get the Pearl Lifestyle Pack and put yourself in a position? But either way, whatever your choice is, whether it's 7-day, 21-day, or this Pearl Lifestyle Pack. Now, I've got to go a step further, because I'm got to throw a pitch in for coaches. We need more coaches. If you're a person and you love people and you want to learn what we're doing tonight, you want to learn about food combinations and about all the things that we teach when we do our certification, then guess what? You can become a coach, a certified wellness coach, taught by our naturopathic doctor, Dr. Eric Prince, and his team, and so many other stuff we have already in video to get to you. And you can do that just becoming a Diamond Coach. But now what's missing in this particular package is that bioscan. So I'm one of those persons, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do the whole thing. And so now we have ways for you to do that, where you can become a certified wellness coach all the way in for like $2,000. And guess what? You get everything, a whole lot of products, brochures, blood type kits, the bioscan equipment, go through the certification, all the tools to support you. Now, you may say, but Dr. Roz, things are kind of tight right now, so I don't have that. But guess what? We've got a Kickstart program where you can put $500 down and then pay the rest in about 60 days and go through the certification. Now, you won't get all the equipment and all the products until you finalize the payment, but it's a way to get started with all of the education, because we're strong in the education piece. But whatever you do, let's start detoxing. Join our community that we do on Tuesday and Thursday night. Ask the person that invited you, how can I be a part of that community so I can be encouraged? We can pump you up, encourage you, help you if you're having difficulty, give you different recipes that many people are using. We share testimonies, because a detox is your opportunity to give your body a break. Your body wants a break, and allow the own God-given self-cleansing and self-healing process to kick into gear. Thank you tonight. We invite you to elevate with the Kana, and welcome to the family. We're going to open up the room for any questions.
Dr. Roz?
Yes.
This is Elizabeth. I have a comment. You recommended that people have laugh therapy. So last night on Saturday Night Live, they did a skit regarding the protests that are happening on the college campuses. The very opening of the show was hilarious, just hilarious, because the skit is about parents and their students who are protesting. So get your little laughs of therapy started with Saturday Night Live from last night. You can go to YouTube. I think it's a clip on YouTube, as well as, on demand, the entire show. Thank you.
Awesome. I had been in a church service where a guy, and that's all he did. God had anointed him to make people laugh. And people would be up there and he'd lay hands on them and they would just start laughing. And people thought it was a hoax. They thought it was some kind of gimmick or something. People were literally getting healed through laughter.
Medicine for the soul.